wave my hand quite a while here. Hi, my name is Bonnie Billick from the village of Chatham. Just a quick question, and I'm hoping I'll be able to get a response. A couple of meetings ago in the village of Chatham, CMT, the engineer company that the village has hired to follow through with the Water Commission and with the village of Chatham citizens, clearly stated in a recorded session of meeting that the water was corrosive, period. The water is corrosive. They said they have contacted the Water Commission Board, you guys, in regards to suggestions on how to repair the issue or to fix the problem. What I'm requesting out of you guys or somebody on this board is to give a one-line statement, not a line of bull, just a one-line statement, whether CMT has contacted you in regards to their findings, and if part of what I'm seeing on the agenda for today is to solve that issue with the water corrosiveness.
I would say that yes, they have contacted us about that, and yes, it is on the agenda for today to discuss.
Okay. Thank you.
We would have addressed it earlier, but it wasn't on the agenda 2 meetings ago, and so we couldn't act on it. And then with the last regular scheduled meeting having the wrong advertised date on it, we couldn't act on anything at that meeting, so that's why we're acting on it this meeting.
And well, the biggest concern that we have is, and this is why we all thank Darlene for taping this, to be able to share with the citizens. Citizens can't come out to these meetings at this time. Myself personally, I take a half-an-hour comp to be able to get out there in enough time, but with her being able to videotape this, which I hope doesn't disturb any of you guys, but this is how the citizens are getting their information. And I do see that now we have a couple other people from the village here, Mr. Mao, and I know Pat's been coming to a few of those meetings, and just with her videotaping, I think that's what I want, answers.
Yes. Becky Ethel from Chatham. I guess I have several questions. With the tower that Mr. Hall wants, with all the improvements that have to be done here, how much money do you think you will be borrowing to do that?
That's something that's still up in the air. Whether we go through with all these improvements that we've discussed, they're not fixes to the system. They are improvements. They're as the system evolves, we're evolving with it. So,
but there are some improvements that the report said you had to make, and I think that was going to total up to about $500,000. Has any financing? I know you borrowed money from someplace in the budget to pay for the big thing out there. The hydroponic.
Hydropneumatic tank.
Yeah, that one.
The projects that have been completed as part of the EPA recommendations and the Curry report recommendations have been paid part of the replacement fund. And so one of the items of discussion with the rate study is to repay that replacement fund over a period to replenish that fund for when other pieces of equipment wear out, that there will be money to adequately pay for those. So that money's not been borrowed.
Well, I know it hasn't been, but it was my understanding that these bonds, or the new bonds, or whatever you were going to do, was going to be help replace that money that had been used.
It was discussed, but we've not agreed to sell bonds to cover those costs.
Okay.
So it's as part of the rate study. It's, you know, do you sell bonds or do you just use the replacement fund and then pay that back in more of an accelerated schedule over a set period, say 5 years. So, and that's one of the
reason I ask these questions is,
sure,
my concern is that because your bonds have been lowered to just one step above junk, you know, your interest rates on bonds is going to be really high. And I guess I have concerns about that because that's going to affect my rate. And are these going to be double barrel bonds again, where it's going to affect our real estate taxes?
Again, we started looking at that, we haven't addressed that in a while, so.
When do you think you will address that?
We're gonna continue to look at the budget and move on from there, so.
So actually what you only did was you moved monies from one line to another line to pay that bill. You didn't borrow.
There's a fund that is set aside
Yeah.
for this purpose, so.
Right,
We don't like touching that, but.
that's what you
why we're gonna
used.
That's why we're gonna pay it back, yes.
Okay.
But that was just for this. Have all of everything that the Curry report said needed to be repaired, has that been done?
Not all of the items. Are there 3 left?
The last update that I sent to Illinois EPA, there was one item that we continued to be left open.
One of the 13. So, and is this correct? We covered all of those projects with the replacement fund.
Some of it was just out of our cash on hand.
Out of cash on hand.
How much was taken out of the replacement fund?
I don't have that number available, but I could go back. I would have to address that at a later date. I don't have that number with me right now.
How much was in it?
Around $280,000.
$280,000. I can look that up and add that to my report.
If you would, please.
Yes.
I would appreciate it. And my next one is just kind of a comment that's very irritating to me. The Village of Chatham pays thousands of dollars to CMT to come out here and kind of go over things with everybody and give recommendations to help our water at home be better. And then when they make their recommendations, and they come out here and tell you what their recommendations are, and then we have to discuss it. And we have to agree on it. I guess what makes me angry is the fact that it's not your homes that are being ruined by this water. The replacement of things I've had to go through, it's just astronomical. Probably close to $5,000 I've had to replace in my home because of the water. And everybody says, EPA, CMT says the water is corrosive, and one way to fix it is to add some additional phosphate. And I guess my thoughts are, why do we have to debate this? We're your customers.
We were not allowed to vote on that 2 meetings ago. The Edgar County Watchdog Group was here, and they actually brought it up, that it's on the agenda, you can't vote on it. So we were ready to do it. It wasn't on the agenda. Trying to be, make sure everybody is aware of what we're voting on. And really changing the chemical feed, and this is what was brought up at that meeting, the last meeting, is something the operators can do in order to keep the water in compliance. Since this chemical addition results in added cost, then Woodard Current felt it necessary for us to vote on it. And so then the last meeting, we had a mishap with the advertisement with the wrong time on it, the wrong date. So we couldn't act on anything at the last meeting as well. We've been trying to vote on this for the last 2-3 meetings now. So it's on the agenda today. We're gonna take care of it today and address it. So it's not something we're avoiding. It's just a matter of procedure, making sure it's on the agenda.
I guess here's my question then. Every time you make a change in your chemical feed, does the board have to approve it?
Simple answer is no.
So why do you have to approve the phosphate feed if you don't have to approve any other ones? Why is this one? Is it because of the cost?
It's an added expense to the system, and they just want to make sure that we're aware that it's going to add money, it's going to add additional cost that gets passed on to the consumer. So it's more of a courtesy.
Well, I, as a consumer, wish you would have done it 2 or 3 months ago, because I don't know how much more damage this corrosiveness has done to my house. You know, I've lived in Chatham 31 years, and I've never had to go through toilets, shower heads, sinks, coffee pots, hot water heaters like I have in the last 5 or 6 years. And the only thing I can say is it's the water. It's the water. Thousands of dollars worth of flowers that are lost because of the water. Because I don't have a spigot on my outside. I gotta water them with that. So, just curious, you know.
Any other comments? Thank you. Item 3, approved minutes for the January 17th regular meeting. Get a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll make the motion that we approve the 17th and the 26th. Make them separately? Okay. I'll make the motion that we do the 17th, please.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And I'll make the motion to approve the 26th special meeting minutes.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item 4, approved payment of invoices. Anybody have any questions on invoice list? Craig, nothing?
No.
I'd like to give we don't need a motion for that, do we?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes, please?
I'll make the motion.
I'm sorry, to approve the invoice, payment of the invoice.
I'll make the motion that we approve the invoices that was before us.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Bloom?
Yes.
Mr. Sander?
Yes. Approved payment of application number 4 to Prairie State Plumbing and Heating. I think you guys have a copy of that. That's just part of the tank outside. No discussion. I'll give a motion to pass the payment of application 4. I'll make that motion.
Second that.
Any additional discussion? Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Bloom?
Yes.
Mr. Sander?
Yes. Item number 5, discuss and authorize bidding of insurance. Laura, correct me if I'm wrong. Every year our insurance comes up due, or?
It's always due, begins May 1.
Okay. And Randy had suggested that maybe we should, I don't think we've done this, did we do it last year?
We did not bid it last year.
So, I think maybe we should put it out for bid and see where we go from there. So, any discussion on that? Any motion on that?
Make a motion that we authorize bidding of insurance to 3 separate insurance agencies.
You want to state which 3?
Yeah, it was listed before.
Well, we had 2. We said Troxel and McFood last time we talked about it, but we never came up with a 3rd one. I don't really know who else does major commercial insurance.
I asked this question last month, and I think I got the answer, but I'm gonna ask it again. How do we advertise that, or to who we advertise this? Do we contact these 2 or 3 that we wish to do business with?
RFI, request for proposal.
Is there any concern concern will it, you know, with including anybody or excluding anybody? Okay.
The two is fine. I amend my motion to state for the two.
To authorize for the two.
I'll second it.
Any additional discussion? My only question would be timing.
Yeah,
When do you want those bids in?
this is due when again?
May.
It renews May 1.
Okay, so,
So at the latest, it would have to be the
Absolutely.
April regular meeting.
yes. Absolutely.
Then we're ready to vote.
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Bloom?
Yes.
Mr. Sander?
Yes. Item 6, discuss and approve phosphate feed rate change.
This would be to increase the feed rate from 1 part per million to 1.5 parts per million.
Can I ask what that rate is? I mean, what the cost it is to the budget?
Cost is anywhere
Since it was
from-
such a concern?
Cost anywhere from $7,000 to $10,000 per year in additional cost.
Mark, do you wanna add anything?
That's what I've got it on.
I guess to respond to some of the earlier comments. Over the
Jeff,
last year, IEPA, Curry and Associates, a lot of different folks coming in and pouring through the plant. The commission has, Woodard and Curran has to review the water quality data, the operations. Chatham's gone through a large flushing program. I believe I heard the bulk of that's been completed today.
They were hoping to be done by Friday. We have the far northwest end of town.
And I think as part of that project, a lot of the distribution system is bound to have valves and other components that can impact water quality. Woodard and Kern, Village of Chatham, CMT now, we're all working very closely together to make sure we monitor the water quality, that we're doing what's right for the end users, the residents. And so, as a byproduct of the CPE, we've had several meetings with IEPA, Curran Associates, to review all of the various components. And one of those, it's called a RTW, water model analysis. Within the last year, we've had that report show that the water quality was slightly scale forming. The most recent one showed that it is now slightly corrosive. Those numbers within the context of what you call normal operating ranges are well within the 1-to-1 operating range that water systems would typically see. So in the context of the water quality leaving the plant, impacting the residents, it is right now viewed as slightly corrosive. That is why you add the polyphosphates. During the CPE, there was investigations done to determine the impacts of the phosphates causing hair to fall out, toenails to fall off, other health impacts. There were also biofouling concerns in the water system that again led us to suggest that we decrease from the 1.5 down to 1. We work closely with Water Solutions, who is the provider of the chemistry. They do it nationwide. Again, to review that feed rate and make sure that we're doing it at the right dosage and that we're looking at other things that can help protect the system. And so we've backed it off from 1.5 down to 1 while continuing to monitor the regulatory reporting that we have to do, as well as coupon analyses to monitor the copper and metal corrosiveness. We have seen no negligible impacts since that time. Again, at the request, and again, 1.5 is a common feed rate, but before we went forward and increase that, again, we wanted to make the commission aware of that. So, a lot of moving pieces, but again, I don't think this particular issue is, and I'd be confident in saying it's causing water quality issues throughout the village of Chatham. There are other factors that would be more reasonable than that.
What factors? Are you
We're not
considering?
gonna take any other questions.
So as far as the increase, again, it's roughly 8,000 to 9,000 based on the numbers we run. We can definitely do that, and the system has fed that in the past.
I'd make a motion that we increase the feed rate to 1.5 parts per million.
I'll second it.
Additional discussion? Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Bloom?
Yes.
Mr. Sander?
Yes. When can you guys start up and that?
If you want, I can change it now. Keith, go ahead.
There were some things that we were discussing as part of that with the village to make sure we continue to monitor, again, the impacts of that. So I do think we want to follow up and make sure, again, we talked about some coupon analyses with the vendor and some other things to track the performance.
Calibrate and testing equipment in both places.
So when you do up that, would you let us know? So we can let them know and,
We're upping it right now, so it'll be a day before it gets to Chatham.
okay,
The Water Solutions folks will put the coupon racks out there to monitor what happens with that.
okay.
We'll wanna wait a couple weeks, make sure all the water gets in the system changed over and all that stuff. Then they'll put a coupon rack in for a specific set of time, then pull the coupons and weigh them, and tell you what your correction rate is.
Okay. Item 7, discuss Curry's water rate study report and rate increase. We had Curry and Associates do a water rate analysis of our, basically of what we're charging now, where we should be. They came back with a initial rate. In discussions with them, we discussed the ever growing, I'll say hopefully water usage situation in Chatham as they continue to grow. And so during that discussion, we had them add a few possibility of a water tower to help with that supply. So then they came back with another rate, and that's what we're here to discuss now. So, are there any questions or comments from this board?
I guess just to outline some of that, highlights, we want to make sure that the budget covers the 110% coverage. In addition to what we talked about earlier, we'd spent a portion of the replacement fund for projects, and in addition to that, the membrane replacement cost would also come out of that fund when the membranes are at the end of their useful life. So the report takes into account paying back that fund over a 5-year period. And then, as Joel said, we were looking at several capital projects as well, just to see what sort of cost impact those would have on the rates. So,
Does it take into account the escalating principal that has to be paid over the
It takes everything in our budget into it.
yeah, the ramp up of the principal of the bonds, yes.
Yes.
It does take into account that.
Okay.
Do you have any questions or comments?
I have a couple real quick here. Flipping through, I asked for one thing that was an easy fix. However, I'm sorry for mumbling. The things that I'm I'm concerned with is the fees, just like everybody else in Chatham and Berlin, but these are fees because these communities are growing. And having a water tower, I consider it a plus move. I know it's more money than we were probably hoping to spend, and the percentage on that is on page, where am I at, Joel? Do you have the percentage of the tower? We have that broken down. I just had it in front of me.
12, 11, page 11 maybe, that gives you a percentage of it.
Well, yeah, and so it's gonna cost us, to have the tower of, it's gonna be 31 cents per thousand, which I thought that was really kind of reasonable to have. I think you could operate a plant better if you had a tower. We can sit here, and from 2 o'clock, these plant, it was kind of a hush, but as people are coming home from work, kids are coming home from school, you can hear it kind of charge and ramp, and it's hard on equipment. So really, is a tower really an expense, or is it a need to make this facility run smoother? And plus, we all come from different trades, and everybody in this room. And I said this before, I dry my corn in the middle of the night. The reason why is because I can buy my energy cheaper. I don't dry my corn from 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock in the morning, because you're paying peak charge hours. So if we did have a tower, would we save money on equipment? Would we save money on energy? Is there anything in that, as your management, that we could save on any of that, Mark?
There would be savings on electric run time. Electric would be your main one.
Yeah.
And then I want to eliminate advice and time and reaction time, maybe some overtime. The tower is an item, just to add that as far as consent order for my EPA.
Yeah, I know. So you would say that that's not on the need list, it's more on the want list?
Based on growth.
Yeah.
Anything else, Craig?
So we can add up the pit digging station, the tower, the 4 membrane train, and the green sand filter. The membrane train is also on that wanted, I believe, right, Mark? I'm sorry.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Now, the pegging stations and the green sand filters are not part of the quote.
Right. Gotcha.
Okay. At this point anyway.
One of the items that I went ahead and had the village do was provide water consumption for the last 6 or 7 years, and looked at the spread between those various years, whether it be a dry year or a wet year. And in addition to that, I went ahead and had Pat pull the existing empty lots from current development that's already out there, and that ends up being there's probably the potential for 15% population increase if all those lots get developed.
In what period of time?
What's that?
What's the period of time?
We don't know what that period would be, but that's
So
just.
how can you count that then if it
No, I'm just
doesn't
saying-
exist?
Just allow me to.
Okay.
All these items I'm taking into account for, what that potential future water demand could be. So, if that full 15% increase occurs, that's an additional approximately 145,000 gallons per day. I was just trying to see, yes, we're adding homes in Chatham. What's that going to equate to as far as water demand? And at what point do we think that we're going to outstrip the ability for the plant to make water? So part of going through that, looks like 2012 was probably the peak year. It was a very dry year, very hot year, and you know, water usage, the plant was running for very long periods during the day. And talking to the water plant here, you know, the changes made in the water plant to improve the filtration, those also reduce the amount of capacity that the plant can come out or could produce during the day. So I think before we jump ahead with some of these capacity increases, we need to pretty much look at the plant from front to back, make sure that there aren't any other choke points in the process, and then monitor the system growth and the system demand to make sure that when we put the new capacity in, we're doing so at the right time, and not jumping the gun on it. So just try to be fiscally responsible, yet not wait too long. We can't build this stuff overnight. So that's what I was really going back and forth on when reviewing this report. You know, do we need the tank now? Do we need the added membranes now? Things like that. I don't know that we have all the answers for that yet. The bulk of the recommended increases is pretty much tied to the principal. So, what's that?
Plus, with us doing our leak repairs last year, we saved $250,000 that cost you guys that $250,000 on your bottom line. So where it helped our bottom line and our cash flow, it hurt you. So that's something that we were buying $250,000 worth of water that was going straight into the ground.
What does this plant produce per day?
Depends on how much each of the communities,
Can you rephrase it?
what can it
produce?
produce.
2.2.
What's the max you can produce?
Yeah.
Yes.
I would guess somewhere around 1.8, something like that. I'm using 1.8 as a number, that if you had to produce that every day for 30 days, that would be about the max you could do.
Start at the beginning, had it been built for.
We're not doing that.
That's good.
So are you guys gonna propose a 1-year rate increase, a 2-year rate increase, a 3-year rate increase?
Well, I think that's, what Curry and Associates projected this out to was to meet our needs through fiscal year 2020.
3 years.
So I think, that's what we're gonna probably look at. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think we've had a water increase since the plant started. I might be wrong. We might have one small one, right?
There
One.
was a $1 rate increase
That's right.
in September of 2013.
Right, before I got started, I think you're right after.
But it started out much higher than it was supposed to.
I guess without knowing, without having that full evaluation of the treatment train, I guess I'd be a little leery of proceeding with recommending re-increase based on adding the tank and the membranes at this point. And I guess I'd just recommend an increase based on the other items, the replacement fund and the bond grant. I do have some numbers with those other items pulled out.
Which is basically what, 56 cents according to his calculations.
Yeah, 57 cents per thousand would be,
Right.
That'd be for the fourth treatment train in the morning time.
Right.
And then with the thought of evaluating this again on an annual basis, where we monitor water demand and system growth, so that we can make adjustments at that time.
So the wholesale rate would go to what?
That's what we're looking at here.
I would have it started.
I'm still consuming what he said.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
We're gonna go 3 years out, and the improvements that we're wishing to do, will those, improvements be completed in 3 years?
It would be, we would evaluate on an annual basis as to whether we proceed with them based on system growth.
Every year on, payment or the, construction?
Whether we proceed with designing. We have growth now. Does the state have a budget in 3 years? You know, I hate to say. I think
Not
that
even a joke.
that would get us right with our bonds. That would get us in the right direction with our replacement fund. And we could just see what happens this summer with the weather. See if the new subdivisions that are developing in Chatham, if they start filling in. We know Iron Bridge is filling in. There's a couple new ones that are poised for development. We can monitor how fast those homes are infilling in those locations. And we can also see if it's going to be a hot one. So.
Pat, where are they on all the development projects that have been proposed? And I'm not poo-pooing
No, it's fine.
your ideas, I just,
Iron Bridge, like we said, is, I would, Plat 1 is probably 80% full, Plat 2 maybe 60%, but there's a lot of homes under construction. Spartan Valley that has 300 homes, it is yet to start a house yet. They're in the process. The water's in, the sewer's in, the roads are all in. The only thing is the electric hasn't been put in yet. They're just about done with that. Once the electric in, then Harold Christopher Locke will be selling houses out there. Fox Creek, Plat 9, there's a total of 105 homes. Half those have been platted now. The board will be looking at accepting the final plat for it. That'll give us another 65 there, and they're well on their way of putting up the apartment complexes out at Cardinal Ridge. There's probably 4 or 5 16-unit apartment complexes going up right now. So the growth is coming, but I understand too with the cool summers that we've had, and then with us fixing the leaks, that maybe that demand isn't there this year or next year. But like I said, we'll have to look at it pretty much on a month-to-month basis too.
that's my main concern, is that I don't wanna keep playing catch-up. I'm not trying to add money to people's water bills, believe me, but, just once I'd like to get ahead of the game instead of always trying to play catch-up with this thing. I understand what you're saying.
Pat, how many gallons per year do you think you were losing out of that leak that you fixed?
I don't remember the number. I have it in a report from them.
Did you say $250,000 a year?
But that's what they estimated it at the rate that we were going, around $250,000.
That
And I
rate
think
would
we'll
be
have
about
them back.
400.
I think we'll have them come back again this year too, just keep checking. you find one good leak, you've paid for the, you guys may wanna hire them to have, just go along your distribution main. If you got a leak somewhere, you're dumping water out in the ground that you're not recovering. It takes this one fine and you've paid for their costs.
So that was about a little under 100,000 gallons per day at the bulk rate. So the 15% increase, which is those subdivisions that Pat talked about, that's an average water use of 145,000 gallons per day. You know, that's I kind of went back and forth on this, and that's where I was coming from. I was just looking at kind of the water balance. I knew that the village had fixed some fairly substantial leaks, and then like I said, I thought that to see how fast things started filling in. But I see where you're coming from as well.
Well, and again, it was just my thought process was that I would rather not throw a rate increase out every year if we couldn't do that, if we could push it out 2 years or 3 years, whatever that is. And that's what I think we were looking at for as far as adding the water tower and then the fourth train of the filters in there and stuff. So if we take them out, then I think we definitely need to make sure we monitor it absolutely on a yearly basis. And I don't think there's any way around not doing it. Because a year out, we'll get a better idea of what your growth actually is.
And you know, history, when we were on with CWLP, we saw a rate increase every year.
Right.
You know, it was gradual one, but it was an increase pretty much every single year.
Not like this.
So I guess if we go ahead with the rate increase and it's based on this last year's water use, which was low, and it ends up being a real hot summer, then that'll actually get us ahead of the game from a revenue standpoint. If it's another cold, wet year, we'll make sure we're still covered. But I guess I was looking at just approving a three-step increase year to year at one time, not having to come back and vote on it every year, unless, you know, growth demanded a change. Were you looking more at a one-time?
Well, that was my original
Okay.
thought process, and you know, I don't know if we've had much discussion on that, how you guys feel about that, but again, I didn't want to have to come back every year and ask for more money. Ben, you have any thoughts on this whole thing?
Yeah, over expectation is how we got here. Under expectation is also the equal danger, if not more, because we are acquiring people who are off of the Rochester Road. They're getting hooked on through FEM. We have more people who are getting hooked on. We have more growth. But the things that you guys are discussing are the variables that make you a farmer. Dry or wet.
Yeah.
Home, no home. Building, no building. Expenses, whatever. Use, no use. I guess I'm saying I believe in Chatham. I think Chatham's going to grow. I think Chatham's going to grow whether people want it to grow or not. There's some people who don't want Chatham to grow. I don't understand that thought, but that's what they want. We need more customers. And if we can improve the quality of water, which is what people are wanting, and then when you look at how many people are getting water, then how many people are actually complaining, the complaining is sort of motivating this debt that we're going to do to make the water better. I'll say that better so you don't give me that look. Look, I talk to people in Chatham that there's no complaints at all on their water, and quite a few of them. But then I get to come here once a month and visit with you, and you have concerns that I believe in.
That's the strange thing about this whole thing. There are people in Chatham who don't have 1 ounce of problems
No.
with the water.
No.
And that's what's so crazy about the whole thing, because it makes all of us who do have problems with water, like we're a bunch of ninnies and we're whining and all of that kind of stuff. But, you know, there's just pockets. There's just pockets. I have a friend who built a brand new house in Iron Bridge. $400,000, and she's got problems with the water.
And I have a friend that lives in Iron Bridge, same thing.
So your increasing that you're asking for is what? How much?
I would, I guess I'd recommend a stepped increase over the next 3 years.
To max the
Starting with 826 per thousand. And for 2017, 868 for 2018, and 882 for 2019.
826 wholesale?
Yes.
Whoa,
So we're talking over $9 for us, right?
we're close.
And our rate right now is $6.85.
It's
Yep.
$1.41%, or $1.41 increase on that first year.
Whoa,
And when does it go into effect?
June 1st.
They have to vote on it, they send us a letter, we have 60 days to comment or respond, and then,
And do your own study if you wanna have a study.
yeah, and then,
Which
but
they
it's,
won't do.
but it's ultimately their responsibility to vote, because they have to keep the place operating.
So, I'm a little concerned that if we just took off what they recommended, or what we asked them to put in, which is 56, 57 cents a gallon, that would bring their recommendation down to 908 per 1,000 gallons.
That's correct.
It's worse than we
Could
thought.
I ask a question? The,
Yeah, we did.
in your rate structure, you don't have in building the new tower or putting in the new train, but you have built into it at least the engineering, so that if you find after next year, still a lot more water, the houses are going in a little faster, at least you would have a shovel-ready project that if you were looking at, see them. So maybe you look at putting some engineering into that.
The other buffer in this is that this whole rate study, all these rates are predicated on last year's water sales with no increase over the entire. So as
if
water,
you did,
as water
makes your
sales
fund-
increase, that
makes
is
your
just,
fund better.
yes, that's correct.
Okay.
So it's very conservative from that standpoint.
All right.
So I'm gonna ask you how you came up with your numbers there.
I took the 57 cents per thousand off that equated to the water tower and fourth train.
Right.
And then those items would be reviewed every year, the water usage would be reviewed every year, and should there be the need, should the plant reach the point where we need to add that fourth train and the tank makes sense, if we get enough customers on the line, we go ahead and proceed with those. And that would be a bond sale.
So would the 826 get us to meeting our obligations?
That's correct. All three of those would meet our obligations. It just wouldn't include the capital.
Craig, any other comments?
Any chance, once you get this all going, you get the tower and you get all these people on, you would lower the rate?
Yeah,
No.
if we have enough customers.
Say, I don't, you know, that's always a possibility. As long as we're meeting our obligation, which is the bonds and all our expenses.
The biggest hit right now is there's a ramp in the bonding,
Mhm.
year over year ramp, and so that,
I don't know who put those bonds together, but they really, and I don't mean to be rude or disrespectful, but they screwed you big time.
Mhm.
just trying to,
Get through it.
yep.
And like with your rates, that would allow the Southside Water Commission to once again have paid property taxes for the village for
Yes.
each of those years.
Yes.
I think his correct answer would be assuming there's
Yeah,
still
depending
savings.
on how much water you sell. Yes, I
Okay.
Thanks, Randy.
Yes,
And I don't want him to commit to, yes, but yes, essentially, we abate based on the ordinance, which says we review it, and if we had the funds to pay it, we pay the taxes.
If I don't ask a question, can I make a statement?
As long as it has to do with the water rate increase.
So it seems to me like when we're going back and forth on this, the growth of Chatham has got a lot to do with raising the rates. Because we should put the tower in, you know, there's gonna be needing more maintenance and more done to the water plant. Because with the growth of Chatham, we will be needing more water, correct?
But
I'm sorry.
the point of evaluating when we need the rate increase for capital improvements. So if the growth is there, then that's added revenue. That added revenue will offset the debt service associated with those capital improvements. So
But the growth is also going to be part of the reason why our rates are gonna go up as well.
the reason the rates need to go up
Double-fisted.
is the bond, the annual payment to the bonds is increasing over the next 5 years. And it's a year-by-year increase.
The bonds from the water plant.
Building the
not
plant, yes, that's correct.
The original bonds.
The original bonds.
Mhm.
Look at them going, it's ridiculous. I'm not asking any questions here. I have them at my house, you can come back. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay.
And, I would say that you guys can review rates on an annual basis, not if you do it through step increase now. It's not like you're stuck.
I mean, I think we have a solid framework with the report
Right.
to,
Basically, we had an independent report, and that's what we're required to do under the ordinances, under the bond issue. And so, you met, fulfilled your obligations there.
What's our next step?
Well, I mean, the next step would be to, if that's what you wanna do, I'd probably pass a motion today to increase your rates.
Then we could do that, for you to produce an ordinance, right?
Produce an ordinance. And when's the next meeting's the 21st of March?
Yes.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
that's after mine.
And I fully intend to have it there. Unless something,
Can they raise the rates before the village's 60-day period?
once we get the ordinance passed, we'll pick a date to start the increase. We also need that for budgeting purposes. We will give you the notice. Now, I don't know in the past if they sent the ordinance proposal out.
60 days, I thought that was
I wasn't
everywhere.
around in 2013 either, or if they just sent you a letter saying, here's our proposed rate increases for the following years.
I think that would be sufficient.
But until we pass the ordinance, we don't have the increases. So then, so if we passed it at the 22nd, it probably would be you've got April, May, so you probably make it effective June 1. So there's 61 days in April and May together. Unless you'd have 8 days, so that should be sufficient.
But doesn't Chatham have to give its customers a certain length of time about a rate increase?
No.
So you could change it tomorrow?
No, they would vote for a rate increase, so we would put it on the agenda as an ordinance to raise water rates. And, we would most likely discuss it at a committee meeting.
Oh,
And
okay.
then we would turn around and have it on a regular board meeting for passage.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens in Williamsville.
Yeah.
CWLP
That's
since
the way we've done all of them.
I don't know where I thought I read 60 days.
I think the 60 days
60 days is our notice to both New Berlin and Chatham as to the increase. And I don't believe we have to send it to any other customers. Current garden, okay. So we'll get a list of.
You mean the people that are from here to Chatham, you won't tell them you're raising their rates?
We don't have to by the ordinance.
Oh,
We have to follow
you
the
will
ordinance.
notify them, you just
They'll
don't
notify.
have to.
Right.
Oh.
They're not entitled to the 60-day review.
I
period.
see.
We won't do the retail increase ordinance at the March meeting, that would be at a future date. This is just the wholesale rate that we're talking about
Right.
today, right?
Yeah, but we need to, we'll need to increase that, all the rates, so, we will put that on the agenda for next meeting. Yeah. Lee, if you wanna make your motion?
I would move that we raise the wholesale rate for fiscal year 2017 to $8.26 per thousand. 2018 rate, fiscal year rate to $8.68 per thousand. And the 2019 wholesale rate to $8.82 per thousand.
$8.82.
Yes. And the water rates will be revisited annually to determine if growth in the system, that would suffice.
I think you wanna just do the rate increase, and then if you wanna put
Okay.
that other stuff in there, but I don't think
Okay.
confuse the
Okay.
motion.
That's my motion.
Additional discussion?
Well, you gotta have a second.
Oh, yeah, we need a second.
I will second it.
Ready to vote? Mr. Hall?
No.
Mr. Bloom?
Yes.
Mr. Sander?
Yes.
Fast.
Motion to adjourn.
Make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I have a couple questions for you.
Meeting.
Why's
Can
that?
we also, talk about the insurance? Absolutely.
I'll see you tomorrow morning. That's right. 6:30.
We're the most open county.
Fair enough.
Tell you every.
No, go ahead. What's your first name, sir?